Let's see. Let's try this again. Are we back? Are we doing this thing today? Are we doing a live stream today? Oh my goodness. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. And drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but I think we figured it out. We should be looking all crispy and clean on the screen. It should be nice and smooth over here. Oh my gosh. I swear it's always something. Okay. We got a 1 in the chat. And shout out to the Cat Not Williams gang in here. I see Cat. I see FFS. For freak's sake. Shout out to FFS. RD9's in here. We got my awesome, amazing Amy as well. Reminding y'all to like the video. We had some technical difficulties on the last stream, so we should be good now. Had to figure a few things out. I was hoping the other stream wouldn't end, but unfortunately, the way I have things set up, it automatically ends the live stream when it loses the connection. So what can you do? All right. So I think we should be good. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Y'all know what time it is. If you could please, especially on this one, like the video on your way in. Likes are free and it's going to help us out, especially since we had to start another live stream. So if y'all haven't yet, like the video, I would appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get back into this content. Let me see what we've got here. Okay, here we go. So, and I need to actually, let me put this here. We're going to speed this up a little bit because I have so many other topics we got to get to today. Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. So as many of you know, YNW Bortlen took the deal, the plea deal of a lifetime, as we're saying here on the channel, because this man, as we're about to listen to, was able to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 life sentences, possibly, plus 75 years, down to 10 years and 6 years probation. Absolutely insane. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into this hearing that they had with Judge Fiend. I love calling him Judge Fiend. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it. Either way, and they're going to break down what the plea deal was and what he's going to be expected to do. Here we go.
Mr. Henry, I'm going to put you under oath, and I'm going to ask
now let me know if we're good. We should be good now.
If you don't understand, please let me know. I'll try to ask you a better question, okay? As loud as you can so the court reporter can get down all the answers, okay? Raise your right hand for me. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? You can put your hand down. Please state your full name. How old are you? How far did you go in school? Do you read and understand the English language? Are you presently under the influence of any drugs, medication, or alcohol? Have you ever been treated for a mental illness? Are they giving you any medication in the jail right now? How are you feeling this afternoon?
We're back.
Your head is clear? You understand what's going on this afternoon? You understand you're resolving 2 pending felony cases this afternoon? Right. Mr. Haddad or Mr. Nascimento, have you seen or heard Mr. Henry say or do anything which would call into question in your mind whether you understand what's going on?
Nothing wrong. No,
all right, so Mr. Henry, it's 2 cases, sir. I'm going to go one at a time. In case number 19, 1871 CF10A.
Oh no, you're starting to lose me again.
The agreement you made with the state, before the deal you made with the state. You were charged as follows. Counts 1 and 2 is murder in the first degree with a firearm. Those are capital offenses. The maximum and mandatory penalty is life in Florida State Prison. Counts 3 and 4 are accessory after the fact of murder in the first degree. Those are each first degree felonies. The maximum penalty is 30 years in Florida State Prison. In case number 23-10643 CF10A, you're charged at count 1, tampering with a witness in a capital felony. That is punishable by life in Florida State Prison. Count 2, directing the activities of a criminal gang. That's a first degree felony. Again, punishable up to life in Florida State Prison. Count 5 is conspiracy to commit tampering. Again, as it relates to a first degree murder charge, that is punishable by a maximum penalty of life in Florida State Prison.
Y'all are saying you still can't see me, huh? Dang. Let me see what's going on here.
At count 7, unlawful use of a two-way communication device. As charged, that's a second degree felony. The maximum penalty is 15 years in Florida State Prison. So, sir, again, before the agreement you made with the state, before the deal you made with the state, your maximum exposure here was life in Florida State Prison, followed by 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 75 years in Florida State Prison. Sir, do you understand all the pending charges and the maximum possible penalties involved. And it's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? And that resolution is an agreement.
Are we moving smooth now?
State, the terms of which are as follows. Number one, in the
Dang.
19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null process, that is, drop the 2 first-degree murder counts. All right, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. Yes, sir. What's happening with that?
Should be good.
That would be no problem.
So he's only going to plead to the tampering with a witness in a capital felony, conspiracy to commit tampering and unlawful use of a two-way communication device?
Just the tampering and the unlawful use.
Just count 1 and count 7. State, you're going to null process count 2 and count 5.
Correct, Your Honor.
As it relates only to Mr. Henry.
Correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Henry, what it's going to be is 2 counts of accessory after the fact, tampering with a witness in a capital felony, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation. In the unlawful use of a two-way communication device, that's a second-degree felony.
Plus time served. Plus time served.
It's the second as charged, I believe. It's a third, except as it relates to a capital case. But I'm happy to look it up.
Ours has a third, as we discussed, so.
Well, what did you want the negotiated sentence to be for that?
That was just going to be the maximum time served.
5 years? Is that what you want me to do?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so, sir, as to that count, it's going to be adjudication of 5 years in Florida State Prison. So the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count, those come with 6 years of reporting probation after the Department of Corrections sentence. I'll give you credit for all the time that you've served in both cases. All of those counts will run concurrently. All those sentences will run concurrently. All counts in all cases will run at the same time with each other. I'm going to have to impose mandatory court costs. I'm going to order restitution payable to Terry Bagley and payable to Ashley Phillips and reservists to the amount. I'm going to give the state 120 days to tell me the amount of that restitution. If they fail to do so within 120 days, there will be no restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys agree on the amount, I will impose that as another condition of your sentence to pay back that restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys do not agree on the amount, I will conduct a restitution hearing. Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
Oh yeah, they're going to ask him a lot of questions.
I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you've negotiated is the deal you've negotiated, and that's involved in it. Do you understand all that, sir? Have you had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that? They've answered all your questions? You're sure that that's what you want to do? Because I want to emphasize, Mr. Henry, and I'm going to do this again at the end of my plea colloquy, whether you resolve the case by way of a negotiated plea or an open plea to me, or you resolve the case by way of a trial, it doesn't matter to me at all. But due to the resources that have been devoted to this case, I have 250 jurors summoned for jury duty starting tomorrow. So I want to be very thorough with you here this afternoon, because if you wake up tomorrow or the next day and you decide you've changed your mind and you want to resolve this case, both
we ain't doing that, Judge Fiend said.
That's not going to happen. All right? If you want to have a trial, the trial starts tomorrow. If you want to accept a deal, you can accept the deal today. But there's not going to be any buyer's remorse, in other words, because I've given you plenty of time to think about this, talk to your lawyers about it, talk to your family about it. I talked to you about it last week. Kind of looks like your lawyers probably did something or other to get a better disposition for you as of this afternoon, but this is it today. So understanding all that, you've had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that, that's what you want to do? So, sir, has anyone forced you, threatened you, or coerced you into entering these pleas? If I accept your pleas, there will not be a trial in either one of these cases. Do you understand that?
Yep.
If I accept these pleas, there's a whole bunch of constitutional rights you are giving up. I want to make sure you understand all of those rights. You have the right to maintain your plea and not be able to have a trial in each case. You have the right to present defenses, to file motions and other pleadings in support of your defense. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
This is the only
You have the right to
choice.
confront and cross-examine the witnesses against you. You have the right to appeal any decisions that I may have made up to this point or any rulings I might make in a future trial. But understanding by entering this negotiated resolution today, you are giving up all of those rights. The matter is going to be resolved today, right now, this afternoon. Is that what you want to do?
Yep.
Are you satisfied with your lawyers? Have you had enough time to speak with them? Have they answered all your questions? Are you satisfied with all the work that they have done for you? Sir, I've got 2 identical plea forms here entitled Plea of Guilty or No Contest to Criminal Charges in Circuit Court. Each one has your name on the top, your initials on the left-hand side, front and back, and your signature on the back. Did you go over both of these forms? Any questions about what's on either of these forms? And is that your signature on the back of each form? Sir, there's a few things that I need to tell everyone that I take a plea from. They may or may not apply to you. If you are not a citizen of the United States, these pleas will result in your deportation. Do you understand that? Under the provisions of the Jimmy Rice Act, if the offenses to which you are pleading are sexually violent or sexually motivated offenses, or if you've been previously convicted of such offenses, then these pleas will subject you to an involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentences. Do you understand that? If these are drug offenses, the Department of Motor Vehicles will revoke your driver's license for a period of 1 year. Do you understand that? Sir, paragraph 11 of each form that you sign reads as follows. I acknowledge that my attorney and I have reviewed any discovery disclosed by the state. My attorney and I are unaware of any physical evidence for which DNA may exonerate me. In other words, sir, if there's any physical evidence in the case that we could test for DNA, that DNA evidence would not tell me that you were not one of the people in that vehicle when these crimes occurred. But actually the opposite would be true. If there was any such physical evidence that could be tested for DNA, that DNA evidence would tell me that you were one of the two people that was inside this vehicle when these crimes occurred. Sir, do you agree with that statement? State, do you agree with that?
I think we need to break this down for a second because this is important and it's going to be important to Melly's trial. So let's take a second and listen to what Judge Fiend has to say.
If there's any physical evidence in the case,
let me go back a little bit. Here we go.
Discovery disclosed by the state. My attorney and I are unaware of any physical evidence for which DNA may exonerate me. In other words, sir.
Okay, so they're unaware of any DNA that may exonerate him. That would basically prove his innocence.
If there's any physical evidence in the case that we could test for DNA, that DNA evidence would not tell me that you were not one of the people in that vehicle.
I hate double negatives. I try so hard not to use double negatives, but here's what the Honorable Judge Fiend is saying. If there's any evidence or DNA evidence or anything that says you were not in the vehicle, like you're still in this position, right? That's what you're agreeing to. You're admitting that you were there. It happened, what they're saying and what you're pleading guilty to or nulls to, whatever. You're good on that, right? That's what he's saying.
When these crimes occurred. But actually the opposite would be true. If there was any such physical evidence that could be tested
double
for
negatives,
DNA,
Judge.
that DNA evidence would tell me that you were one of the two people that was inside this vehicle.
So if there's any evidence in this case, it all points to you being there, correct? Yes.
When these crimes occurred. Sir, do you agree with that statement? State, do you agree with that statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you agree with that statement? Mr. Henry, understanding everything that I have talked to you about up to this point, do you still want to go ahead and resolve both cases today, right now? Defense, is he stipulating to a factual basis for the purpose of each plea in both cases?
Yes.
And if he's entitled to a PSI, defense, are you going to waive that as to each case?
Absolutely.
State, is there anything else that you need me to do before I take his plea?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Henry, again,
Now, how do you guys think this is going to affect Melly? Because it can go one of two ways, in my opinion. The first way it could go, Melly could get during his trial and say, hey, y'all, go look at Mr. Henry. He's already admitted he was there. He just took a plea deal because he was scared. We got DNA evidence. We've got this. We've got that. It points to him. Y'all leave me out of this. The DA's office gave the killer a deal. That's one way it could go. The other way it could go is YNW Bortlen. He could paint a clear picture of Melly's involvement. Say, oh yeah, I was sitting there right next to him. Guess what? Melly, he was sitting there, wait for them to get in the car. It got quiet. And then what happened? Done. I don't know what Melly's defense is going to be this time around because he does have a new defense team. So we'll have to see how this plays into Melly's trial because it's looking like most likely that Bortlen's going to testify.
cases, we're going to do one at a time.
I don't know.
In case number 19, 1871 CF10A, as to count 3, accessory after the fact to murder in the first degree, and as to count 4, accessory after the fact as to murder in the first degree. How are you going to plead, sir? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? In case number 23,
Sound like he said no contest.
10643 CF10A, as to count 1, tampering with a witness in a capital felony, and count 7, unlawful use of a two-way communication device. How are you going to plead, sir? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? I will accept your no contest pleas as to each. I'm going to find a factual basis to support each based upon my review of each electronic probable cause affidavit as well as your stipulation in court here today. I'm going to further find that you have freely, voluntarily, and intelligently waived your rights, that you have knowingly entered each plea with the advice of competent counsel who you've told me that you are satisfied with, that you understand the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. Accordingly, and pursuant to the negotiated agreement, I will sentence you as follows. In case number 19-1871 CF10A, as to count 3 and count 4, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation. I will impose mandatory court costs. Pursuant to 943.325, I will need a set of your prints and DNA. Pursuant to 938.27, I will impose a cost of prosecution of $100. Sir, I'm also ordering restitution in that case payable to Terry, T-E-R-R-I Bagley, B-A-G-L-E-Y, and Ashley, A-S-H-L-E-Y Phillips, P-H-I-L-L-I-P-S, and reserving as to the amount. I'm going to give the state 120 days to tell me the amount of the restitution. If they fail to do so within 120 days, there will be no restitution. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys agree on the amount, I will impose that as another condition of your sentence to pay back. If they come back with an amount and the attorneys do not agree on the amount, I will conduct a restitution hearing. That will conclude that matter. In case number 23-10643 CF10A,
two cases.
To count 1 and count 7, I will adjudicate you guilty. Count 7 is a sentence of 5 years in Florida State Prison. Count 1 is a sentence of 10 years in Florida State Prison, followed by 6 years of reporting probation. I will impose mandatory court costs in that case as well. I will not impose the cost of prosecution in that case as I just did so in the previous case. Pursuant to 943.325, I will need another set of your prints and DNA. All of these, there is no restitution in that case. All of these sentences, all counts, both cases, will run concurrently, that is at the same time with each other. I will give you credit for all the time that you have served. State, in 19-1871 CF10A, your announcement as to counts 1 and 2.
The state will not announce any null process to those counts, Your Honor.
And in case number 23-10643 CF10A, state your announcement as to count 2 and count 5.
The state will announce any null process to those counts as well.
Okay. I think that concludes all the matters. State, is there anything else that you need me to do regarding Mr. Henry in either case?
Mr. We just have one moment.
Wow. What a deal, man. I've never seen anything like this.
I'm looking at the plea forms. The 23 case, they have 707 days credit for time served. In the 19 case, 1,340 days credit for time served.
He's over there smiling. He's not gonna do any time.
So listen, my the fee hearing docket is at 3:30 p.m. So
We've already spoken with the assignee, we're submitting an order. You can about a week.
okay. I mean, I was going to make it available if you wanted to do it now.
I think, yes, that's probably.
Okay. So they're in charge.
Coordinator, that's right.
Yeah.
You judge.
Anything else from the defense on behalf of Mr. Henry?
No.
All right, Mr. Henry, I'm not quite sure how your lawyers managed to do this, but I wish you good luck, sir.
He said, Judge Fiend knows what's up. Y'all hear that? Judge Fiend said, hey, Mr. Henry, I have no idea how your lawyer managed to do this, but good luck, sir. You got a deal of a lifetime. Judge Fiend agrees. This is the most insane plea deal he's probably seen in a while. And again, someone brought this up in the chat, and I'm going to bring it up. YNW Bortlen's attorney said this. He addressed the social media assumptions that Bortlen is a snitch after accepting his plea deal. He said, I don't represent snitches.
Stop the cap.
Oh, by whose definition? Oh man, I said it. Bortlen Henry is not a snitch, and he will not be cooperating or testifying in YNW Melly's trial. Anyone who claims differently has not seen the plea deal and has no idea what they're talking about. Well, that was a direct quote. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Interesting stuff here. Shout out to the game, man. Thank y'all for coming back. We had some technical difficulties and we came back even stronger. There are 1,700 of y'all in the building. Oh my goodness. If you could, please make sure y'all like the video on your way in if you haven't yet, because it really does help the channel continue to grow, and it's free. All right. Lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show and shares the video with more people. His attorney's saying it ain't happening. I don't know about that one. I do not know about that one. Let me see what y'all are saying in here. We got a couple comments and I'll read some super chats in here as well. Shout out to Amy gifting another 5 memberships. Thank you, Amy, for the love and support. 5 of y'all should be saying thank you because Amy just gifted you a membership. You get access to the members only content here on the channel. And you also get an opportunity to get instant access to any videos that we drop over here. So shout out to all the members. Welcome to the new members, and big shout out to Cat Not Williams as well for sending the gang over here with the redirect. I appreciate you, Cat. Cat Not Williams was live earlier, so y'all make sure you go check her out. Also, Amy is a content creator as well, so make sure you go subscribe to her channel too. Let me see. Y'all have a lot to say about YNW Bortlen, so I want to see what y'all are saying. We've got Love Curly Hairs in the building with the 2 bomb. Says, I would be shooting my pants right now if she was YNW Melly. Ugh. How do y'all think Melly is feeling right now? You know he's going to hear about this. You know he's going to find out. Are Melly and Bortlen staying in the same place? Oh. I don't know why the state did the deal without him testifying. That's what I'm saying. But without him testifying, but I can't see a faster way for a lawyer to lose their job than to lie about this. So it's almost certainly true. The plea deal not including a clause about testifying also helps explain why the judge was so shocked at how they managed to get his deal in the first place. I disagree 100%. The deal wouldn't be that extraordinary if it was a snitch deal, in my opinion. I 1000% agree. The reason that this deal is so extraordinary is because this man was looking at 5 life sentences plus 75 years. Put the testifying aside. That alone, and they would offer him 10 years plus probation plus time served, which means he's only going to do 3 or 5. No, Judge Fiend was like 5 life sentences. Either they said, hey, listen, Bortlen, we've got you in the car. We don't have you shooting these guys, but we know you were there, okay? If you take this to trial, we're going to be able to prove you were in the car. Melly has not been tried yet. Your trial's going to be first. So if you want to go to trial, you want to do Melly a favor, and you want us to point the finger at you and say, hey, he was the shooter. Fine. Go ahead. We don't care. But if you want to save yourself and risk the jury seeing that you you most likely were the killer, then go ahead and take this deal. 10 years, 6 on probation. You only have to be in for 3 or 5. You've already been in 6 or 7 at this point. Take the deal, man. 99.9% would go ahead and sign. 5 life sentences for 75 years. With all that we've seen so far, I'm not taking the risk. Oh man. He might be telling on other cases we know nothing about. Not speaking of evidence, I don't know, but dang, yeah. That deal is insane. It's just on its own. Shout out to Amy with the cake. Oh my goodness, Amy. Yeah, it's about that time. Go ahead and bring that cake over here, Amy. Thank you. I think, in my opinion, Judge Fiend was shocked just because of the nature of the deal that he got. 5 life sentences, 75 years down to a few years in prison and six years on probation. Come on. The lawyer stating he doesn't represent snitches is nothing that would hurt him professional like sanctions. He's speaking to the press, not lying to the court. Exactly. And let me ask you this. I can't remember who said that, but you're saying, let me see if I can find it. Oh, Neri said, where was it? I don't see why the state did this deal without him testifying. Oh, you said something about him speaking on this so definitively. Where is it? I know lawyers say a lot of things, but if a lawyer is confident enough to go out and say to a reporter that he doesn't represent snitches and that his plea deal doesn't involve snitching, he's sure about that. You think he's never represented a snitch?
Stop the cap.
I mean, that's already, by that first comment, that's why I already don't believe what this attorney is saying. With all due respect to Fred Haddad. I don't think he's I don't think he has a clear definition of snitching. Either he hasn't been a lawyer for that long, or he hit the lottery with his clients, because there is no way in the world that as a criminal defense attorney, he's taken client after client after client, and none of his clients have agreed to testify against someone else they were involved with. Come on. Come on. I don't represent snitches. That statement alone is just, I'm not buying it. Cat Not Williams says, I'm with you. Yeah, shout out to Cat. That statement is too absolute for me to buy that he would lie about that. He's the lawyer. Lawyers, his definition of snitch is probably way different. And remember when some of y'all might not have been here, but during the YSL trial, we had this it seemed like we had a whole week we were talking about snitch and the definition of snitch and what is a snitch and who snitched, did Woody snitch, did Gunna snitch, snitch. I mean, ad nauseum. And we still came to the conclusion that we were all different. We all had different definitions of what a snitch is. His definition of a snitch could be, and this is close to my definition of a snitch. And again, you have to understand how lawyers talk. We're gonna do this right now. As a defense attorney, as a criminal defense attorney, I would be able to say throughout my entire career, I don't represent snitches. Why is Fred Haddad able to say that? Well, two things. One, if his client were involved in a crime, and his client took a plea, and his client was saying, yeah, I was involved, but there were certain things that I didn't do. So maybe they plead, maybe there's a NOLO plea, who knows, right? Maybe it's an Alfred plea, we don't know. As a defense attorney, if my client said maybe they did certain things, but they weren't actually involved in a certain way, if they go on to testify about that, they're not really snitching because they weren't involved according to him. And that's why they got offered the plea deal in the first place. So that's the first thing. Secondly, him saying I don't represent snitches, that could just be his definition of a snitch. Maybe his definition of a snitch is someone who actually committed the crime, or someone who knows they committed a crime and then they pin the crime on somebody else. Or maybe his definition of a snitch is someone who was there and they point out somebody else that was there. So again, we have to assume that Fred Haddad has the same definition of snitch that we do. And I don't think, based on what I've seen and the conversations I've had over the year plus in this community about snitching, we all don't have the same definition of snitch. I mean, in general, I think we all agree. So again, he's a lawyer, he's an attorney, he was talking to the press, he wasn't talking in court. For a defense attorney to say he doesn't represent snitches, if he's been practicing for multiple years, I'm just not buying it. But we'll see. I could be wrong. YNW Melly's trial is coming up, I think at the beginning of next year. I think we said January 2026. So we'll just have to wait and see. If you had to bend the rules on snitching, it's snitching. Hey, I'm with you on that one. No, that's a snitch, bro. I know. Again, it's not the snitching thing I have a different point of view on. It's the part where he states in absolute terms that he will not testify against Melly. Again, attorney speak, right? At the time, Neri, my client made it clear to me that he had no intention of testifying against YNW Melly. But things change. And I'm no longer representing Mr. Henry. That's out of my hands. Problem solved. Y'all gotta understand, man, these attorneys are very good with words. They're very good at covering their bases. They're very good at communicating effectively and seemingly certainly, and still leaving room for them to change their mind. It's their job. So again, as of September 9th, 2025, it could be possible that Fred Haddad had a conversation with Mr. Bortlen and he's like, nah, I ain't testifying. We'll see. Well, I'd be a snitching sister. I'm doing 5 life sentences. No way. A regular citizen telling the cops is not a snitch. A snitch is someone involved in the actual crime that informs in their cohort. I agree. That's a great definition of snitching. I think his trial starts in 2027. Oh, no, it's 2026. January next year, I believe. I don't think that can be chalked up to attorney speak. Either the plea does or does not include that language. He said that the plea doesn't. Either it's true or it's not true, but the plea is not going to change. I guess we will find out here in January. He may not be a snitch because he knows he did it. So you can't snitch on Melly doing it. He can create his own narrative, which is even worse. It's just messed up, whatever you call it. I agree. I agree for sure. Man, y'all are saying, yep. What else do we have in here? I'm going to read a couple more comments and then we'll get into the show. Having a hand in someone going to jail is a snitch. That's a simple definition as well. But I don't agree. Are we going to do the snitching thing again? I've told y'all my definition and gave you the example of a snitch. In my opinion, a snitch is someone who willingly participates in a crime with another person, and then in order to save themselves, they point the finger at someone else. In order to save themselves in some way, in order to get a deal, in order to take the light off of their involvement. That's a definition of a snitch to me. So Cat Not Williams says, I think the most confusing thing is I used to view snitch/rat as someone that told the truth about what someone did, but now my understanding is different. I have to ask people what they mean. Yep, Cat, there's so many definitions of a snitch. No, listen, y'all, snitching is not, if I'm sitting here in the studio and somebody runs by, right, and they're holding a safe, and the safe is open and $100 bills are flying out as they run by. And then I see a police officer, he's still got a donut in his hand. He's out of breath. He said, hey, you see a guy run by here? And I say, oh yeah, he was wearing a black t-shirt, jeans. I don't know what kind of sneakers they were. Yep, and he looked like this. He sounded like this. He saluted me as he ran by. That's not me snitching. That's just you reporting a crime. I'm not snitching. But if that same guy, he comes around the corner and he's like, hey man, you want some of this? You want some of this money? Yeah. All right. Come around here. I know exactly how we're going to do it. We go over there. We go around the corner. We take the safe. I take my couple hundreds. I put in my pocket like, man, I'm going out to dinner tonight. And then he runs by, and then the police officer runs by. He's like, hey man, did you see that guy? And I say, yeah, I saw him. He went that way. That's snitching. No, snitching is not. If you see something, snake, y'all are not going to be running up in my neighborhood. Black, white, green, purple, red. Robbing somebody's house. And I'm going to sit there like this. No. if you run up in my neighborhood and you start robbing people's houses and I see what you look like, I'm gonna take pictures. I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna try and get as close as I can. I'm gonna set that thing to HD 60 frames per second. Snap, snap, snap. No, that's not snitching. That is not snitching. No, y'all better not be in my neighborhood participating in that type of behavior. I'm gonna tell on everybody. No, I didn't see nothing. This is the problem with it. See, we're not having this conversation again. I'm not doing it with y'all. No, see, mind your business, ClassE. What is wrong with y'all, man? Oh, man. Yeah, FFS said, I'm gonna become a sketch artist on them. Like, oh yeah, you want me to draw it? Hold on a second. I'm sorry, bro. That's a snitch. A person who's not snitching is a person who minds their own business and don't say nothing at all. Wow. This is what's wrong with the cult. Y'all really feel that way? Oh my goodness. I was gonna talk about Iryna today. I was gonna talk about Iryna and this stabbing that took place in North Carolina. But if this is how y'all feel about that, I cannot imagine how you guys feel about what happened there. Yeah, don't commit any listen, if we're not in on the crime, you better not be doing any crimes around me, because I will call 12. I do not care. Y'all ain't finna be robbing my neighbors. Not about to. I see you pulling door handles, walking through the parking lot pulling door handles. Yeah, you got to go. That's the type of activity that gets innocent people killed. Oh man. These jokes. I agree with your definition of snitch. Thank you. See, now at least we know not to be around you when we commit a crime, or you could just not commit crime, you know. I'm sorry. No, this is a good conversation. I love having conversations with y'all. Shout out to the gang. I'm a gangster. I've been in jail. Parking tickets. I parked all over the world. Hey, I'm a proud, listen, I am loyal. Okay. So if I agree that we doing this and we're going to do it and we in on this together, I promise I will not tell anybody. But if I'm an innocent bystander and I'm a witness and y'all out here doing reckless ish, I'm telling on everybody. Cat Not Williams says, if you don't say what you know, you might be failing to help the falsely accused. You know, you can't be a snitch if you're not a criminal in the first place. Yeah, I agree. Even then, the way things really go in the streets, you're an idiot if you don't tell, because someone will tell on you in a heartbeat. Yep. Think of Karen Reed and the missing ring footage from the neighbors. Where did that ring footage go? And these street dudes, I mean, they're not loyal at all. These fake street dudes, they're all anyway. Amy says, a person who informs on someone else, often secretly, in street culture or criminal context, it carries a heavy stigma. Snitches are seen as betraying friends, family, or associates by cooperating with law enforcement. In everyday situations, it can be used more lightly. The kids call someone a snitch for telling a teacher who broke a rule. Synonyms: informant, rat, tattletale, whistleblower. Though whistleblower is usually more positive, especially when exposing corruption. Yeah, I don't think a tattletale is a snitch. Like, if you see your brother jumping off of the dining room table, you're like, mommy, Jimmy's jumping off the table. That's not snitching, because you weren't jumping off the table. You saw him doing something you weren't supposed to do, and you say, hey, stop jumping on the table. Now, if you and Jimmy are jumping off the table and your mom comes out there like, what y'all doing jumping off the table? And you say, well, Jimmy made me do it. Now you snitching. You got caught and you trying to get out of it by throwing Jimmy under the bus. That's nasty work. Oh man, I had so much more I wanted to cover today. We'll maybe get another few minutes in here on this next topic. See my comment, see what the chat says, please, and thank you. Oh, I missed it. It might be gone. Okay, now for the people who said that snitching, imagine it was your loved one. They got hurt during a robbery. You know who did it. You just gonna sit in silent when they hurt your family? Well, FFS, it depends on who you ask. In some cultures, in some communities, yes, that would be snitching. And they would just, you let street justice handle it. And spin the block, pull up, whatever you need to do. Y'all want to have, we've had this, are we going to have a snitching conversation every year? Jeez, man. Yeah, Kat said that's a tattletale. That's literally the sole definition of snitch, bro. Y'all do not, that is not snitching. No. That's not what snitching is. That's crazy. All right, let's go ahead and we gotta move on because I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes going back and forth with y'all about snitching. Although I could. That's not snitching. Oh my gosh, man. If you know who stabbed, oh yeah. Iryna and the police need your help. You snitching on what you saw? Nope. What? Not. Yeah, I can't, after this conversation, Amy, I can't even talk about Iryna today. We're gonna have to move it to tomorrow because I don't know if I can make it through this conversation. Take it back to the 1700s, frontier justice. Yeah, there you go. FFS depends if you know for 100% fact who did it. In this case, there's no reason to believe 100% that Bortlen wasn't the shooter. Every day at this rate, yeah, I know, Kat, for real. See something, say something. Facts. Shout out to, oh my goodness, with the 10 bomb. Shout out to Mitt in here. You guys have to understand, Melly's team was pending the murders on Bortlen. Yeah. At that point, Bortlen felt betrayed and had to do what he had to do. No loyalty. That is a fact. That is a fact. And we won't get to see the evidence in the YNW Bortlen case. But let me ask y'all for a second. Bear with me for a second. Do y'all think there is any possibility that Bortlen wasn't involved? Because given my definition of snitch that we just covered, if Bortlen wasn't involved, he didn't plan it, he didn't pull the trigger, he didn't set the guys up and make sure they were in the car, and he just saw Melly, allegedly, then by my definition, he wouldn't be a snitch. But I also don't think he was double negatives. But I also think Bortlen was involved based on what we've seen. So that's a tough one. Is he disloyal if he didn't have anything to do with it? Many of y'all have watched the first YNW Melly trial, and I watched some of it. And I don't know. That's something that we're going to have to wait and see when the YNW Melly trial comes out. If no DNA matches Melly, how can he be convicted? Circumstantial evidence. Again, as we heard during the Donna Adelson trial, circumstantial evidence is still evidence, and reasonable doubt does not mean no doubt. Yeah, Slim Life. We're going to talk about it today. Is Amy saying no because I'm not going to talk about Iryna? Should I talk? They have Melly on video in the car. Absolutely, he was definitely involved in one shape or form. He wasn't the proper, not like that term, but he was there. Amy, you want me to cover Iryna? I was gonna go back to Wendy Adelson because I didn't have Iryna in here. Let me see what she's saying. And shout out to y'all. We just up here talking, man. We do that sometimes. I love interacting with y'all in the chat. Make sure if you haven't yet, like the video, all right? I thought you needed physical evidence. Not necessarily. No, not necessarily at all. Amy said, yeah, daddy. Hey, yo. All right. Y'all be nice with this one. Bear with me with this one, all right? This is going to be... I want to see what y'all think about this based on the conversation we had about snitches. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to change this. We're going to talk about Iryna, and then we can have a conversation here. All right. This is so sad. So sad. So a lot is being talked about finally about what's going on in this Iryna Zarutska murder. This man, I don't even want to say, I'm just going to call him this terrible, disgusting of a human being that stabbed this innocent woman in North Carolina back at the end of August. Now we're hearing and we're finding out, this is somewhat breaking news, that there's been new audio released from the killer where he's talking about some of the reasoning why he stabbed Iryna and what was going through his mind. Ugh. I don't want to hear anything about mental health on this one, guys. Unless we're talking about someone who's a repeat offender and has mental health issues needs to be locked up for life, because this never should have happened. And it's absolutely tragic. It's absolutely tragic. Let's hear what he had to say here.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the lady.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material in my body exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia. And, you know, they had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
That's, hey, it ain't, I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
So basically this man is saying, it wasn't me. He's saying there was material in my body. I don't know who put it there, how it got there, what it is, but there was something in my body that just made me attack this woman. And one thing led to another. They activated the material in my body and it forced me to stab this poor woman. We're going to hear a lot more from this. Shout out to Colin Rugg with this video, because now we know that they have charged this man with federal charges, and we're going to get into the full charges here shortly, but let's see what they have to say here. Shout out to Colin Rugg for this. He says the family of Iryna Zarutska has declined to have her body returned to the Ukraine. They say she would have wanted to be buried in the US because she loved America. After Iryna's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said, we'll help you bring her home. Her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. Wow.
I know this has gotten national attention. I know that there is a lot of thoughts about this case. There's policy decisions being made because of this
There's
case.
no thoughts. We just need
someone
to
who just talked to the family of the victim.
get rid of this guy.
Because this is hard for them. It's their case, and we will bring justice here. I want to add one thing that I hope the family won't mind me sharing. But after Iryna's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said, we'll help you bring her home. And her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. So I think we can give her an America to be proud of. As Mr. Barnacle said, something here is broken, and we're here to fix it.
Even more tragic, she chose to come to Charlotte to escape the violence of her war-torn home in Ukraine. Iryna had settled into her community. She made friends. She immediately got a job. The first day she was allowed to work, and she got a work permit here, she got a job that very first day.
So sad, man.
She worked at a senior citizen center. She worked at a pizza place. She took care of animals in the neighborhood. She was building her young life. She had recently moved in with her partner. Her family let us know she graduated from college in Kyiv with a degree in art and restoration. We don't know the extent of what obstacles she faced in the Ukraine, other than we did learn just a few moments ago that she was living in a bomb shelter.
Dang.
Sadly, everyone saw in surveillance video how tragic her life ended. We're shocked, we're saddened. It's very, very difficult. This young lady rode that train many times. She was probably tired after a long day at work and just trying to get home to her loved ones, but she never made it. In an instant, her life was over, and her mother, her father, her siblings, her brother and sister, and her other family and friends, their lives will never be the same. As you heard from U.S. Attorney Ferguson, we spoke with Iryna's mother, Anna, and her uncle just a few minutes ago, and we told them of the federal charges brought against DeCarlos Brown Jr.
Wow.
We hope this additional charge will help bring them a measure of justice and accountability for this horrific act.
I hope so too, because we're going to hear from the press secretary coming up, and she had a lot to say.
Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska. Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump drew attention to it. On August 22nd, Iryna Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a savage career criminal. This is a public transportation system that many in the area use every single day to go to school and work. Iryna was on the train that night traveling home from her job at a pizzeria, still in uniform from her shift. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian refugee who had recently fled her country for a chance at a safer life and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America. But tragically, a public transportation system in a major American city was more dangerous than the active war zone that she left. The president and the entire White House are praying for her family and friends during this unimaginably difficult time. But while we extend our thoughts and prayers, we must also seek justice for this crime and call attention to this heinous incident. Surveillance video of the killing was finally released to the public this past Friday. It shows the alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., pull out a knife, get up from his seat behind Iryna, and prepare to thrust a blade into her neck before the released footage gets cut. This is pure evil on full display. The most enraging and unacceptable part of this story is that her death was entirely preventable. DeCarlos Brown never should have been on that train that night. In fact, he should have been behind bars.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the judges who made a ruling on his 14 different chances that he got. We'll get into it shortly.
DeCarlos Brown has been charged with crimes no fewer than 14 times, dating back to 2011, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. Brown had previously served 5 years in prison for a robbery with a deadly weapon charge, and he had also forfeited bonds 3 different times, twice in 2014 and once in 2023. Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, who I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness. This monster should have been locked up, and Iryna should still be alive. But Democrat politicians, liberal judges, and weak prosecutors would rather virtue signal than lock up criminals and protect their communities. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative.
Well, we talking about
Many
it now.
of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories
No, she
about
wasn't.
an actual murderer. Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price of the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity in criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not. That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote diversion and other alternatives to arrest. It also advised to de-emphasize some felony crimes, prioritize, quote, restorative justice, and eliminate cash bail. Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are consumed with pushing a woke, soft-on-crime agenda, no matter how many innocent Americans suffer as a result. Instead of aggressively prosecuting and locking up violent criminals, the Democrat-backed cashless bail approach lets these criminals roam free in our country to offend again and again. These reckless policies have turned too many of American cities into hunting grounds for career criminals who mock our justice system.
Yeah, and again, it's not even a mocking of the justice system. Let's be honest. This is just the justice system being what it is. And we've talked about I don't call it the justice system anymore. We call it the judicial system because there are so many opportunities for improvement here. It's insane because listen to this coming up next. Shout out to the older millennial talking about the judge who made a ruling on this man. It's going to surprise you guys if you haven't heard this yet.
Did you know the judge that released this guy didn't even go to law school? Yeah. Not even a lawyer. Yeah, these magistrate judges that are making a decision to release these people without bail, yeah, they're not even lawyers. They didn't go to law school. They didn't pass the bar. They just got appointed to be judges. No training required. Oh yeah, and that's the case in states like North Carolina,
Crazy.
South Carolina, West Virginia, Texas, Arizona. They don't even have to be lawyers.
I lived in South
They can
Carolina.
be
I didn't know
judges.
this.
They don't have to go to law school. They don't have to pass the bar. However, they sit in judgment over people who did. How the fuck is this a thing? How the fuck do we have judges who didn't even study the law? Like, how did this ever become a thing? That's one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Like, to be somebody's lawyer,
Yeah.
you have to go to law school, you got to pass the bar. Like, just to represent a client, you have to do that. To be able to prosecute that person, you got to go to law school, you got to pass the bar. But to be the judge, to be the person overseeing these lawyers, to be the ultimate arbiter of the law, you don't have to go to law school, you don't have to pass the bar. How is this a fucking thing?
Yeah, and it's it's insane, and it gets even worse.
Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal
skip
murder
ahead to the end.
for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity in criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not. That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote diversion and other alternatives to arrest.
Guys, we got a lot of work we have to do here. So sad to see this innocent life lost. And we're going to get into, I'm going to show the video. YouTube's not going to like it. They're probably going to restrict the video. I'm going to be honest. But I think it's important to see this. I think it's important to have this conversation. I think it's important for my children, for our children to be able to understand what is happening, what's going on, and to be aware of situations they could be in. Because, I mean, this poor girl just riding on the bus, went, sat down, was trying to get home, wasn't conscious of her surroundings. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. And thank y'all for the support too as well. We got 1,300 of y'all that like the video. Please make sure y'all take a second and like the video. Also, some of you are supporting as well. J Money in here dropping the 5 memberships again. If y'all got a membership from J Money, say thank you and type J Money's name in the chat. This is a country with a bunch of judges, with a bunch of judge shows, and none of them are judges at all. Court system is pure entertainment. My issue is someone with money doesn't make them more or less violent. It's true. I had no idea the magistrates weren't lawyers. First, I thought that was required. Mind blown. I didn't know South Carolina was like that. And I spent a lot of time in South Carolina. That's crazy. And Star asked an insane question, a thought-provoking question. So what's worse, a snitch or a bystander that does nothing while a crime is occurring? And that's the example I just gave. According to a lot of people's definitions, they're one and the same. A snitch is someone who tells about a crime that was committed. According to a lot of y'all, that's why I thought the timing of this conversation was interesting. Because let's say this happened, right? And we don't have the video. And y'all have seen, let me see if I can find it. YouTube's not going to be happy about this, but I'm showing it, y'all. I don't care. We've seen, some of y'all have seen the initial video. And there's 3 people sitting around her. Many of them didn't help. What if that guy, he stabbed her, he walked off the bus, and nobody said anything? Because they didn't want to be a snitch. Snitch. Oh man, I see you do something. I'm giving your description and all that. Man, I'm into true crime. It helps me cope with the unalivings in my family. Oh, I'm sorry about that. And sympathy of hosts like you. Oh, thank you, Mary. I appreciate you being here. And I'm sorry for your losses as well. Oh, I can't imagine. The last couple of lives, your half of the screen has been blurry. I will fix that. Thank you, Bombay. Amy says, check out the info on Iryna on my X account if you want more details on Slim Life. Yeah, and I'm going to read through what Amy had to say here shortly. Said, let's talk about why we don't have mental health facilities and less hospitals. We should. Wish they could all be Paige Whitaker or Judge Everett. There's a lot of good judges out there for sure. A lot of good judges. We're going to get into it. Guys, I'm going to have to issue you a trigger warning. A trigger warning, a graphic warning. Most of you are most likely, if you're watching this on the replay, are not going to see this video. Because I think it is very important that I show what happened. YouTube's not going to like it. They're probably going to take down this video. But I think it needs to be shown what happened to this poor woman so we can understand the gravity of this entire situation. Now, I'm not going to show the whole video. I'm going to show a lot of pictures and stills, and some images are going to be blurred out. But when it comes to Iryna, what happened to her was absolutely terrible. And I think there needs to be something done about this. A lot of the time I talk about on this channel what you can do on the local level to affect the laws in your city, laws in your county, the laws in your state. And I think continuing to bring awareness to situations like this is going to help move that forward. Because a lot of people, they don't even know, as we saw in the last conversation, that some of these magistrate judges don't even have to go to law school. Why is that? Because that's what the law says. Let's see what our president had to say about this entire situation with Iryna. Super sad, man. And we'll get into the videos.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people.
It's true.
In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests.
14.
We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order.
And some black on black crime too.
That it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities need help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
So let's get into this breakdown from Amy, just giving a little bit of background of what happened, why Iryna was here, what happened after, during this very, very sad murder. What does Amy have to say? The night America failed Iryna Zarutska. She was only 23. She had already lived through war. She left her home in Ukraine in 2022 when Russia bombs fell on her city. She came to America because she believed it was safe. She believed it was a place where she could work hard, study, and build a future. She dreamed of becoming a veterinary assistant caring for animals. She found a modest job at a pizzeria in Charlotte. She lived quietly, worked honestly, and did nothing to harm people. On the evening of August 22nd, Iryna finished her shift at the restaurant. She put on her light jacket over her work uniform, carried her phone, and boarded Charlotte's Lenox Blue Line. It was almost 9:50 p.m. The train car was half full. She slipped into her seat, put her headphones on, and started scrolling through her phone. To her, it was just another night in her life. To her killer, it was something else entirely. Sitting nearby was this evil, evil man. He was no stranger to law enforcement. His rap sheet stretched back over a decade. Since 2011, he had been arrested at least 14 times. His record included armed robbery, larceny, trespassing, assault on government official, drug charges, and multiple violations that showed escalating violence. Just months earlier, he had called 911 in a delusional state, claiming man-made material was inside his body and controlling him. He had been flagged repeatedly as unstable and dangerous, yet he kept slipping back into the streets. Each release was another roll of the dice, another chance for disaster. On this night, the dice came up deadly. As the train rattled down the tracks, passengers were lost in their phones or staring out the windows. Nobody noticed this man slip a folding knife from his pocket. Nobody noticed as he stepped closer to the young woman sitting in the seat, completely unaware of the danger behind her. At 9:50 p.m., the nightmare unfolded in seconds. Brown lunged forward, slashing Iryna across the throat. He struck her 2 more times, stabbing her in the chest. Her body collapsed onto the floor of the train as blood spread around her. The other riders froze in horror. Nobody had time to react. Brown showed no remorse. He wiped his bloody hands on his hoodie. He calmly walked to the train doors. At the next stop, he stepped off. And before that, we heard in other audio, he said something about, "I got that white girl." Nasty. 6 minutes later, police arrived. By then it was too late. Iryna was pronounced dead on the train. The dream she carried to America had been stolen in less than half a minute. The man responsible is in custody. He is being charged with first-degree murder, but that is not justice. Justice would have been keeping him behind bars long before he ever crossed paths with her. And yet, here's the most chilling part of it all, the silence. Where are the nonstop headlines? Where is the outrage? The same media that saturated the airwaves with endless coverage of George Floyd and Daniel Penny has not written a word about Iryna Zarutska, and some vaguely have. They decided her life was not worth telling. Why? Because she does not fit their story. If Iryna had been black and her killer white, the coverage would be endless and there would be outrage. I agree. It would be on every television channel and splashed across every front page. Protesters would be marching in the streets. Politicians would be rushing to the microphones to offer speeches. Al Sharpton would be getting with attorney Ben Crump and like, we have to defend. We have to make it stop. Not here. Instead, because she was white, her story does not serve the approved narrative. And so the media chooses to erase her. This is not just bias. This is deliberate. It is coordinated. It is evil. Iryna came here believing America was different from the country she fled. She thought she had found safety. Instead, she was butchered on a train by a repeated offender who should never have been free. And the insinuations that claim to care about justice and equality have looked away. They're silent. Her death is not just the result of one man's knife. It is the result of a system that values ideology over safety. It is the result of prosecutors who keep letting violent criminals out. It is the result of media machine that decides which lives count and which lives can be erased. Iryna Zarutska deserved better. She deserved safety. She deserved protection. She deserved to be remembered. Do not let them bury her memory. Say her name, tell her story, demand justice. Remember Iryna. Shout out to Amy. It's sad, man. Sad and disgusting that so many people are standing by silent. Like we have to talk about this. This could be anybody. We see this happen way too often. And there has to be a change. I'm going to play this video for y'all in case you haven't seen it. Again, this is a graphic warning. This video is absolutely brutal. So for those of y'all watching this on the live stream, this video probably won't exist after this just because I don't think YouTube's going to allow it on their platform. But this is what happened. And I honestly want to slow it down here for a second. Many of you have seen the initial video, but I think it's important to show this. So you see this guy back here, he's sitting right behind Iryna. She's looking at her phone, has her headphones in. And then you see the murderer back here. He pulls out a knife and unfolds it. Takes the knife and stabs her multiple times. You can tell Iryna is in shock. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know what's going on. Said this to Amy earlier. Where and the way she was stabbed, I mean, her death was imminent, and there's a reason that she died in less than a few minutes. Because he stabbed her in her chest, probably a couple times in her or near her aorta or her heart. And you'll see in a minute that she's just the blood is just gushing because it fills the seat here in less than a few seconds. And she starts to lose consciousness. Again, this is just a few seconds. You see the drops of blood here. She's still in shock, probably in pain. And then she starts to lose consciousness here. There's blood on the seat. You can hear the murderer walks up the bus, and there's a guy in the background that can be heard telling him, Hey, you got blood, dog. Hey, there's blood on you, dog. And I honestly don't think, I think there's been a lot that was said about the people who were sitting near her. I don't think they knew what happened. I honestly don't think they could have seen what happened. Now, there's a lady sitting further down here next to her that probably saw most of the blood. And I think she gets up and moves out of the way. At this point, I don't think there's much they could have done in the first place, other than somebody making sure they secured this man so he didn't get away, which he didn't. But when it comes to saving her life, the extent of her injuries, there's nothing they could have done. And then eventually someone finally comes over to help her. And that's the end of the video. What happened then? Someone finally came over to help her. Hopefully y'all can see this. There's a man that finally came over to help her. Thank God for this good Samaritan. He helped her. He started to pull her out. You can see, again, this was in less than minutes after she had been stabbed. All this blood from this tiny little girl probably doesn't even weigh 100 pounds. There was nothing they could do. You see someone else coming over to help her. You see this clown recording it on his phone. Again, probably nothing he could have done. And then you see a better image of it here. Shout out to this man who actually went over to try and help eventually. This absolutely tragic. And I hope we continue to talk about this. I hope the man who did this is, I can't say on the internet, but I think he needs to be severely punished. But again, when it comes to justice, that's not going to bring Iryna back. Her life was cut short. And hopefully this will be something that will be used as an example of why it's so important to be involved in what's going on in your city, in your county, in your state. Because we really do have an effect on whether something like this can happen again. And what's happening in this judicial system. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. And again, Amy posted it there. Shout out to Amy for that great read. Absolutely heartbreaking. But we got to talk about it. Because nobody else is talking about it. FFS, I cannot say what I think should happen to him on the internet. But I think you can probably guess. Listen, if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know how I feel about that. No Black history. People like Sharpton were needed because Black people were unaided, kidnapped, etc. No consequences. Please do some research, ClassE. I know who Al Sharpton is. I'm just saying, if this happened to a Black person, Al Sharpton would be on the first. He'd be on the Breakfast Club right now. What does that have to do with knowing Black history? Am I wrong about that, Lynn? I don't think I am. That's the point I was trying to make. But on this, we're quiet, which is fine. I mean, if it doesn't have any, you feel like it doesn't have anything to do with you, okay. But I don't want this to happen to anybody. The views and shares don't add up. Are they blocking it from being shared? It's probably because it's just very graphic. Iryna is pronounced Iryna. I've heard it pronounced. I'm going by how I heard it pronounced in the media. I don't know. It's Iryna. Punish would be a gross understatement. That's the best I can say it for YouTube. I've let my feelings be known privately about this guy and what should happen to him. I'm not going to say it here. Judges do not have any kind of law degree. Insane, isn't it? It makes you realize, Amy says, it makes you realize so many people are glued to their cell phone that they didn't realize what was happening in real time in real life. Not me, man. I'm always watching. He should have been in a mental institution away from the public. Something. Yeah, now after the fact, all those people, after she goes down, they knew the man should have been stopped. I don't think they knew what happened. Let me see if I can find, for those of you who haven't seen the full video, let me find it for y'all. I should have played it first. I mean, think about it. We had a kid that was accused of stabbing and killing someone at a track meet, and everybody was up in arms about, oh, release him. Which again, I think he should just have his day in court. I don't have a problem with that. Just are people or not? I guess probably not. Let me see if I could find, oh man. I'm trying to see if I can find the original video. Because this was it's almost like the people who were there, they didn't know what was happening either. They were just like, oh man, what is going on? So I've got two videos I can show y'all in case you haven't seen this. And we'll keep the conversation going. So here's the first one. This is immediately after, and you can get a better angle and see what was going on. This lady doesn't know what's happening. She can't see the blood or anything that's happening because she's wearing a dark shirt. So from here, you can't even see that she's bleeding. She probably just thought they got in a fight, or I don't know what's going on. This guy saw that happening. He's like, oh, let me get out of here. I don't know what's happening. Then you see this guy in the background. He starts moving and leans over like, what is going on? These people in the back don't know what happened because they can't see anything. I don't think they knew. I mean, this happened so fast. You're talking about 30 seconds. 30 seconds this happened. I thought he scared her at first. She was probably scared at first, and then she realized, oh my gosh, I've been stabbed. And then gone. Yeah, they probably thought he hit her. Yeah, they probably thought, oh, this is some crazy person on the train. Let me move over here. I don't know how they could have known that she was stabbed until they looked down and maybe saw the blood. But most people, they aren't even that observant like that. Amy said they were sitting on their phone. Black women were never valued. Oh boy. Okay, so Lynn, you're just gonna disregard my point. This is what happens with, I get Lynn, you got a narrative, go ahead and just focus on that. That's fine. But this is the point. You're missing the whole point that I made. Is that the same people who cry about injustice aren't commenting on this? Like, why isn't there accountability on both sides? Y'all know how I am if you've been on this channel. I'm an equal accountability giver. And when there's discrimination on one side, we're going to talk about it and say it's not right. When there's someone acting this way and doing and committing these type of crimes, we need to speak on it too. There needs to be a balance, in my opinion. But if you just want to focus on the victimhood, fine. You have a whole group of people that are going to welcome you and say, hey, you know, bad things happen sometimes, but let's just focus on being victims. Okay, that's cool. You go do that. We're not going to do that here. We give equal accountability. When there's injustice to a certain group, we'll call it out. When a certain group is not acting the way they're supposed to be acting and committing heinous crimes and murders, we're going to call it out. I don't care. Black, white, purple, green, blue. Yeah, so y'all could do it. Y'all could do that somewhere else. We don't do that here. Everyone needs to stop making this about race. Stop with the stupidity already. We are all God's children. Amen. I agree. And I wish other people would see it that way too. Which again begs the question, why isn't this being talked about in certain places? It seems to me that certain people only care about certain people. I won't call any names. Sad. Amy says, I don't care what the color is. Someone is. That man targeted her and said he got that white woman. Accountability goes both ways. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Amy. Not in certain groups, as you can see in the live chat. But yeah, y'all go ahead and let Al Sharpton have a pass on this one because she's not black. Jeez. All right, y'all, we're going to get up out of here before I start a riot in the chat. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you to everybody who's supported. Y'all have been absolutely amazing. We're going to be back tomorrow. I have so much I didn't get to today. I know I'm going to have to change the title. We were supposed to talk about Jeff today and get back into him cooking Wendy Adelson, but we'll have to wait on that till tomorrow. Y'all know what to do. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live. Hey, listen, guys, differing views and opinions are welcome here. As long as you can have them respectfully and as long as you can say them without demeaning someone else, we welcome different views and perspectives here. All right. I think that moves the conversation along. So thank you to everyone who's just doesn't want to be in the echo chamber. We can have differing views. We can disagree. And at the end of the day, as was said in the chat, we're all God's children. We're going to keep it moving. Y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Shout out to Al Sharpton. He's on vacation right now.